Annette Brooks. The name had been ordinary to everyone who knew her. A mother, a neighbor, a woman with a life measured in routines, appointments, and the small moments that make days predictable. But that morning, everything ordinary ended. She left home as she always did, sliding into her car with her usual sense of purpose. There were errands to run, a few stops along familiar roads, a visit she had promised to a friend. Every detail of her day seemed normal, right up until it wasn't, because by late morning, she had vanished. Her car, a small sedan she had driven for years, did not return. Her phone, normally a thread of constant messages and calls, went silent. The absence of sound was the first sign something had gone terribly wrong. Those who loved her waited. They called. They texted. They drove the roads she would have taken. And they found nothing. Before we go any deeper, if stories like Annette's move you, if you believe every missing person deserves to be remembered, then you belong here. This is Adventure for Truth. Subscribe to the channel and stay with us as we uncover the stories the world almost forgot. It was an ordinary morning in her neighborhood. Mail carriers delivered letters. Cars rolled down the streets. Children played in yards. The air smelled faintly of coffee and rain. All the while, Annette Brooks had already begun a journey no one would see unfold. Annette was not just a name on a missing persons report. She laughed, she argued, she worried about her children and celebrated their smallest triumphs. She had a favorite coffee shop, a routine grocery run, and a calendar filled with reminders for birthdays and bills. She was fully alive, and then she was gone. The disappearance was subtle. There were no witnesses to a struggle, no sign of confrontation, no messages left behind. One moment she was driving along the familiar streets, and the next she had disappeared from the world everyone knew. Why did her phone stop moving? Why did her car not return? And why did the silence stretch so long before anyone realized the depth of the mystery? The water that bordered the local canal and small pond waited quietly, still and reflective. It did not speak, but it would hold the secret. It had hidden it once before, and it would not give it up easily. Annette Brooks had vanished. And for those who loved her, the world was forever altered by the absence of someone who had seemed, until that moment, entirely present. The last confirmed moments of Annette Brooks were deceptively ordinary, yet they now carry a weight that no one could have imagined. She had left home with a small list of errands. Her children waved from the porch as she pulled away. She stopped at a local corner store, paid with exact change, and chatted briefly with the clerk about an upcoming school event. Nothing seemed unusual. Nothing hinted at the calamity that lay ahead. Her car was later spotted along the edge of a low-lying waterway, a route she often took to avoid traffic. Witnesses remembered the vehicle slowly moving along the narrow road, lights flickering as she adjusted the heater on that cold morning. But the marshy terrain and overgrown embankments made the view from the roadside deceptive. By the time someone had glanced again, the car had vanished. Small details, insignificant at the time, began to take on haunting significance. A shoe print in soft mud, a coffee cup left on the passenger seat, a small shopping bag resting on the dashboard, half forgotten. None of these hinted at danger when seen alone, but together they painted a scene of unfinished business, of presence interrupted. Her phone sent one last ping near the canal bridge. Its signal was faint, inconsistent, easily mistaken for an anomaly, a dropped signal, a glitch. No call, no message, no text reached anyone after that. For all practical purposes, Annette had disappeared into a silence that was absolute. Search efforts began immediately. Police combed the nearby streets and back roads. Friends and family retraced her steps, calling her name across cul-de-sacs and empty sidewalks. Boats scanned the pond, volunteers fanned out across the marshy embankments, and drones hovered over water and reeds. But the marshlands themselves had their own rhythm. Currents shifted debris, reeds concealed edges, mud swallowed footprints, and the car remained just out of sight, camouflaged by nature's quiet patience. Every day that passed without a trace deepened the tension. Family members and investigators were left clinging to hope that it was merely a mistake, that she had pulled over somewhere, lost track of time, or faced a minor delay. But the ordinary landscape betrayed them. The marsh, calm and still, had swallowed a crucial piece of the story. The subtle signs were there, but unnoticed. The car's faint tire tracks leading too close to the waterline, the disturbed earth near a canal edge, reeds pressed flat as though something heavy had passed through. Each one, at the time, seemed trivial. Now, they were markers of the truth, waiting to emerge. Annette Brooks had begun a journey no one could follow, along roads ordinary enough to hide the extraordinary. And the water, patient, still, and silent, held her secret tightly, waiting for the moment when someone would finally see what had been hidden all along. The investigation into Annette Brooks' disappearance quickly revealed its complexity. What had seemed like a simple missing persons case became a study in human assumptions, environmental deception, and the quiet power of nature. Police focused first on the obvious: her regular routes, places she frequently visited, and roads she was known to travel. Surveillance cameras were checked. Neighbors were questioned. Tips came in from the public, some promising, most dead ends. Every lead was pursued, but each day only highlighted how little was known about her final movements. Search teams turned their attention to the waterways near her last known location. The canal, the pond, and the marshy embankments became central to the effort. Volunteers trudged through reeds and mud, scanning every inch for signs of the car, her belongings, or footprints. Boats skimmed the water, while divers probed edges where visibility was low. Yet, time and again, the marsh seemed to withhold its secret. The environmental challenges were enormous. Rain had softened the banks, causing tire impressions to fade. Currents had shifted reeds and mud, erasing signs of entry into the water. Fog and overcast skies hampered aerial searches. Every tool available to investigators was challenged by the quiet, deceptive ordinary of the landscape. Months passed with no discovery. Posters faded from utility poles. Phone alerts became old news. Calls slowed, and the early frenzy of the community gave way to quiet worry. Yet family and friends never stopped searching in spirit, retracing steps, following leads, and revisiting overlooked details. Investigators began to realize that the initial focus had missed the subtle anomalies: disturbed soil along the bank, flattened reeds, faint tire tracks that led to nowhere visible. These small, easily overlooked signs had been the only evidence of the car's presence, yet they had been dismissed as ordinary environmental changes. The marsh had effectively hidden the vehicle in plain sight. Even with modern tools, drones, sonar, thermal imaging, the van remained concealed. Its partial submersion, camouflaged by mud, reeds, and waterlogged vegetation, rendered it nearly invisible to every search effort. It was a lesson in how ordinary landscapes could obscure extraordinary truths. The investigation stalled not because of negligence or oversight, but because of the subtle perfection of the hiding place. Every misjudged angle, every assumption that the car had traveled elsewhere, and every missed clue added to the months of uncertainty. The marsh had rewritten the rules of the search. And all the while, Annette Brooks's story hung in limbo. A mother, a neighbor, a friend, gone but not forgotten. Her absence felt daily. Her presence remembered in every small, human detail of her life. The marsh waited, silently, patiently, until the moment when discovery would finally pierce its stillness. Nearly 8 months after Annette Brooks disappeared, the breakthrough arrived quietly, without fanfare, yet it would change everything. A routine survey of the local pond, conducted by environmental inspectors mapping water levels and sediment shifts, detected an anomaly beneath the surface. At first, it was dismissed as floating debris, or a natural accumulation of reeds. But closer inspection revealed a solid form, partially submerged, angled just beneath the waterline, nearly invisible from any vantage point on land. Divers were called in. They approached slowly, methodical, removing layers of mud and reeds that had built up over time. The shape emerged, a car, waterlogged and obscured, its license plate hidden by vegetation, its tires buried in the soft earth of the pond bed. It was unmistakably Annette Brooks's vehicle. Identification was confirmed through the VIN, along with personal effects inside: her handbag, a favorite scarf, and a few grocery items she had picked up during that final, ordinary trip. The discovery finally explained the months of unanswered questions: why phone signals had gone silent, why no sightings had been credible, why previous searches had turned up nothing. The marsh and pond had concealed the truth with effortless patience. The scene was quiet and solemn. There were no dramatic confrontations, no chaotic rescue, only the slow, deliberate acknowledgement that the missing mother had been here all along. The vehicle's position, partially underwater and hidden by reeds and mud, had made it almost invisible. Currents had shifted it slightly over the months, reinforcing the illusion that it was elsewhere. Nature had become a silent accomplice in the months-long mystery. For Annette's family, the discovery was a bitter relief. The months of uncertainty and anxiety were finally grounded in reality. While grief remained, it was now joined by understanding, the ability to process events in a way that absence had never allowed. Investigators could now reconstruct her final moments with accuracy. The car likely slipped near the pond's edge, rolled partially into the water, and became concealed beneath mud and vegetation. The marsh had held its secret for months, but its patience had an endpoint. The quiet revelation of the vehicle transformed the mystery into truth. What had been lost was now found, and the ordinary landscape that had so thoroughly hidden it could finally be read. Annette Brooks' absence was no longer a riddle. The water had kept its secret, but it could no longer hold it. The story moved from speculation to understanding, from uncertainty to confirmation, and from the unknown to a somber, undeniable reality. The van beneath the pond was no longer a secret. The discovery confirmed what everyone had feared and hoped at once. Annette Brooks had not simply vanished into the ether. She had been here, hidden by water and reeds, silent but present, waiting for the world to notice. The truth did not erase the months of anxiety, the sleepless nights, the endless what-ifs. It did not bring back the ordinary mornings filled with laughter or the mundane errands she had once run. But it gave something equally precious: clarity, answers, confirmation that her life had not been abandoned or forgotten. Investigators reconstructed the final moments with painstaking care. The vehicle had likely slipped near the pond's edge, rolled partially into the water, and been concealed by mud, debris, and vegetation. No foul play was indicated. It was a tragic accident, made more confusing and prolonged by the landscape itself. The marsh and pond, calm and unremarkable, had become custodians of the truth. Family and friends finally had the ability to process their grief fully, to move from uncertainty into understanding. The closure allowed them to honor Annette's life, remembering not only the tragedy of her disappearance, but also the ordinary, human details that had made her irreplaceable. Her care for her children, her routines, her laugh, and the quiet strength she carried in her day-to-day life. For those watching, this story is a reminder of patience, hope, and the importance of remembering every missing person. Every investigation matters. Every search matters. And sometimes, the truth waits beneath a still surface, quiet, patient, waiting for us to look carefully enough to find it. If this story moved you, take a moment to honor the memory of those like Annette Brooks. Like this video if you feel the weight of the search and the relief of discovery. Comment below. What do you think is the most overlooked clue in missing person cases? Your thoughts matter, and your voice can help keep these stories alive. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Stay with us as we uncover the hidden truths the world almost forgot. Because every life deserves to be remembered, and every secret deserves to be found.